how did you, and we'll show some pictures too of the setup so people can see, but how did you come to set your drums up that way? What's the story behind that, man?
That's a good question. Basically, long story short, I just want to have an identity. That's it.
Boom.
You know, growing up, when my mom put me in chart reading lessons, you know, when I would cash out, I would see the Modern Drummer magazines. I'm like, what is this? So that was a whole different thing. But on those Modern Drummer magazines, they would profile the drummer of the month. Yeah. And then their drum kit. Yeah. Which is I feel like it's a part of their identity. Yeah. You know, images, everything. So you have the layer of your fashion. Yeah. That's a part of your image. But also as a drummer, your drum kit is your identity as well. Big time. And so I just knew at some point, of course, when I'm younger, I'm inspired by Jack DeJohnette, Peter Erskine, and all of the drummers. And I'm trying their drum kit just to see what it feels like in church. You know, I got in trouble sometimes, but then eventually I felt like I wanted to develop my own. And I remember when I started becoming another hip hop drummer outside of, you know, because there's levels to this, you know. Yeah. Outside of Questlove, shout out to Amir, you know, of the Roots. Yep. I remember seeing his drum kit, and I was just like, all he had was a snare drum and a floor tom, and I was like, "Where's the rest of his drums at?" Because I was used to seeing like a 5-piece kit, you know, totally. Snare rack, 2 racks, you know, the Dave Wackel, Vinny Colaiuta, you know, it was at that Pacific era, it was a Pacific standard. Yeah, you at least had five pieces of, you know, you at least had a 5-piece drum kit, easy, you know. So that was the format. But I remember seeing Amir's kit, and then I started, you know, playing hip hop. Yep, and I was like, okay, that makes sense because he's the patterns that he playing, you know, is one of the essence of the original parts of hip hop, where the DJ is finding that break beat. Yeah, it's just the kick, snare, hi hat, funky drummer. You know what I'm saying? Yep. No fails. It's just playing these, you know, repetitious grooves that didn't require a lot of fills. Yeah, and so I was like, okay, boom. For the artists that I was working with, Talib Kweli, and that era of producers, it was just loops. It didn't require having all, so I was like, I don't need those times. Right. So I downsized my drum kit. I also had a small car. Yeah. And some nights I was doing 2 and 3 shows a night. Yeah. So I literally was trying to figure out a way, how could I pack less gear in my car to make an easy breakdown. Also, you know, I feel like I didn't need all those times. Yeah. And then I downsized my kit to look similar to Questlove with just a snare drum and floor tom. Right. As y'all know, in the hip hop community, is all about having an identity, being original. Yeah. If you sounded like, I grew up at a time in the hip hop where people, they didn't want you to sound like them. Right. They didn't want you to look like them. Right. If you had the same it was you know, people wanted to have an identity. So I was like, man, I never wanted to be in the same room with Amir, and he'd be like, yo, this cat is biting off my drum kit. Word. Yeah. Wow. So I was like, I had to figure out, now I'm playing minimal drums. What can I take? How can I take this drum kit and make it my own? Yeah. So it started with the grips. Yeah. You know, there's 2 grips. Yep. There's a match grip where the sticks are the same on both sides. Which is how I learned. I'm a match grip player usually most of the time. Yeah. Okay. Yo, and there's a traditional grip, which is the Jazzer grip, where I saw Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, and them cats. Right. Philly Joe Jones but it's like an underhanded for the left hand, basically. Show y'all. I know. I should have some drumsticks here too, but we'll see in a minute. Yeah, I learned that grip at a young age, so I was playing that grip in church. Yeah, dope. Shout out to one of my mentors, Mike, who put me on. Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, okay. I remember seeing the guys playing the marching drum. They always had the drums tilted. Yeah. You know, the marching drum, they had it angled. Right, because the way it would hang off the body, basically, right? It naturally tilted. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, I could take this same configuration, but let me tilt the snare drum. Yeah. So it started with the snare drum first. Okay. And then I woke up one day. I was like, man, what would happen if I do the floor tom? So it was basically all for looks. I just didn't want my drum to look like a mirror because I didn't want to be in the same room, you know, and I look like, you know, a copy. Yeah. And so, you know, and then with the cymbals, I wanted everything to look like furniture. So everything was straight. Yeah, I wanted my drum kit to look like a car or a piece of furniture. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And dude, it works. And then I sit really high. I wanted to dominate the kit. Yeah. You know, and come down on it. And then also, I'm a drummer that play with a lot of showmanship. So I'm like standing up, moving all around. And shout out to drummers, Gene Krupa, who's one of my favorite drummers. I don't know if you're familiar with Gene Krupa. Of course, yeah. Them cats, they were very animated. Yes. And it wasn't out of a gimmick. Right. Like it was show, but I think they did the stuff because they felt it.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to do. Like, so when I'm standing up or moving around, I'm actually becoming a drum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
So it's like the kick. So I'm like,
you
know what I'm saying? And then when I hit that cymbal, it's like, and the cymbal is sustaining.
Yeah.
I'm becoming the cymbal.
Right. You embody it. You embody it.
So that's that's my style. But anyway,
so dope.
So basically, just to have an identity.
Yeah.
I remember seeing find out about Michael Jackson and Prince, and Prince, he wore the stilettos. That was a part of his identity.
Yep.
Same with Michael Jackson, he wore the glitter gloves with the jacket.
Yeah.
With the zippers. So that was a part of his identity. So I just wanted my drum kit. Like if you was in a room and you didn't even know I was playing. If you seen that drum kit, you would know, okay, we know who playing tonight.
Yes.
So it was pretty much just to have an identity.